Hello, everyone, and welcome to Make It Monday. I'm Jim with Amy Sews, and today we're going to go and discuss how you can easily make a casing using bias tape so you can insert your elastic and even a shortcut lighter way. So if you're going to do, let's say, a peasant blouse and you didn't want a lot of bulk with that casing, how to do that with really simple and easily too. So I'm going to take you back to the overhead camera. And basically, we'll just start like you normally do. You have your fabric that you want to add your casing to. So you just turn it to the back side. And I'm using contrasting colors so it shows up better on camera. I'll just take my bias tape and position it where I want it to be. And then I'll go over into the machine. Now, I could use straight pins to hold that in place if necessary. And usually what we'll do is we'll go and put our regular standard presser foot on top and then sew right along the edge and try to get as close to that stitching as you can see how I did here. And that's really close. And it's really telling too, when you use contrasting thread, you really see the quality of the stitch up close and personal that way when it's a contrast color. One of the things I did was I didn't use my regular presser foot. I use what's called a bi-level foot. You can find those at your sewing machine dealer. And what makes them unique is when you turn them over to the back, there's your regular standard presser foot, nice and flat. The only problem with this is when you're sewing on this particular seam, even with the needle position moved, you're going to have one side of the presser foot on your bias tape and your fabric, and the other side of the foot is going to be teetering over the bias tape onto the fabric by itself. So your foot may be sewing a little angle that way, making your judgment of getting those straight stitches a little off. Where here on this bi-level foot, you can see where the slot is off to the side. And when I flip it over, you can see that the right side here is thicker than the left side, which means that little area right along that slit in the foot is going to hug the edge of the bias tape, making its installation that much simpler and easier. So when I go to my machine and sew it up, I could just put it right on top, move my needle position to the far right, and quite often with most machines, you'll find that it's perfectly lined up. So as you just sew along, it'll almost self-steer itself right into place, and you'll get a really nice edge stitch on one side, then the other. Then you'll go pick up your trusty bodkin, and then you would just have to go and slip it right inside to go ahead and insert your elastic. And then, of course, you'll adjust it accordingly and then secure the edges. I just did a reinforced zigzag stitch on the end so that I can have it adjustable. You can see here I have that all fully encased. Looks really nice, neat, and clean. The only thing is sometimes on a lighter weight fabric, let's say an heirloom batiste, it may be a little too heavy. Let's say if you're making an heirloom blouse or a peasant blouse, you want something a little lighter. And like in this case, if I show you the outside, these two look pretty much identical. The only difference is this one has a little secret. It was done on my serger using the cover stitch. I went to our trusty Bernina L890, set it up for 6mm cover stitch. In this case, I sewed on the right side, which looks a lot like the front of my fabric on my sewing machine version. So I sewed right along here, but when I turn it over, instead of having a bias tape, it's all the threads from my serger and the cover stitch. Then all I have to do is insert my elastic in the end of the bodkin and just go over and sliding my bodkin right under the cover stitch loop. And I just keep working my way up until I get through the end and I can pull the elastic through. And in a few moments, I can have a very nice, comfortable, lightweight casing for my elastic. So if I was doing, again, something like an heirloom blouse, or let's say a peasant blouse, it will do a nice elastic seam that'll be very comfortable to wear down either along your wrist or maybe on your bicep if it was a short sleeve for the cap version. So it'd be a very nice, easy, comfortable way of making an elastic casing. So whether you do it by serger or sewing machine, there's simple ways to do it. And a lot of them is just by putting the proper foot on the machine when you want to do that application. So hopefully that gave you some ideas on how you can revamp some of your garments, or even when you're making a new garment, either by sewing machine or serger. And be sure to share your love of sewing with your friends and tell us about what we're doing here. And of course, you can also go to our website at Amy Sews to find out any classes we're offering either online or in store. And you can also go to the Original Sewing and Quilt Expo website and check on my schedule, as I'll be traveling again this year. So maybe we'll catch you up in a class on the Expo site sometime. So that being said, thank you for watching. Greatly appreciate you tuning in. And again, be sure to share the love with people, because after all, the more you know, the more you sew. Take care.